Okay, this is going to be topic 5 for Advanced Algebra 1, Chapter 4. We're going to talk about parallel lines and perpendicular lines. So the first slide is parallel lines. Two non-vertical lines are parallel if they have the same slope. All vertical lines are parallel. Parallel lines are always the same distance apart and they never intersect. So the big thing, it's in huge, bold, blue, underlined letters, is that parallel lines have equal slopes. So for the first 3 examples, we need to find the slope of the line that is parallel to the line that we are given. So all we need to look at is the slope. In this first example, the slope is 2. So the slope for my new line is 2. Easy enough, right? Let's look at number 2. I don't know what the slope of this line is yet, so I need to change it to slope-intercept form first. I do that by subtracting 3x from both sides. I get 6y equals negative 3x plus 4. And then I divide everything by 6 because y has to be by itself. My new equation is y is equal to negative 3 over 6 reduces to negative 1/2 x, and then 4/6 reduces to 2/3. So once again, all I look at for parallel slopes is the slope, and it is the same. So my new slope is negative 1/2. Right, on this side, we have another example where we don't know the slope yet, so we need to get y by itself by adding 2x to both sides. So we get y equals 2x plus 5. It is in slope-intercept form, so we just look at the slope, and because it needs to be the same, our answer is slope is 2. It gets a little bit trickier when we talk about perpendicular lines. Two non-vertical lines are perpendicular if their slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other. So opposite reciprocal means, and I like to say, flip it and multiply by negative 1. So parallel was easy because it was just the same, but now it's still pretty much doable. So if we see the slope of example 1 is 2, we gotta flip it. So that is 2 over 1. So if I flip it, I get 1/2 and multiply it by negative 1. There's our slope. Numbers 2 and 3, again, we have to change it. If you notice, they are the same as above, so I'm just going to copy down what I had above to save us some time. They are the same equations. And number 3 is also the same, y equals 2x plus 5. So going back to number 2, find the slope. We got to flip it. So negative 1/2 is negative 2 over 1. And then multiply it by negative 1, so this changes to a positive. 2 over 1 reduces to 2, so our slope here is 2. Number 3, find the slope. Flip it, that's really 2 over 1, so I flip it to 1 over 2 and multiply it by negative 1. Alright, I would like you to do the U-try on the next page. Alright, the next couple things we're going to be asked to do is writing the equation for a line given a graph or given a line and another point. So the first step we need to do is get it into slope-intercept form. The next thing we need to do is find the slope. Next is use the given point plus new slope and write equation in point slope form. So if we look at our first example, we have our equation. We need to find out what the slope is. So because x is by itself, that means the slope is 1. Parallel lines have the same slope, so that's the slope we're going to use. The selected point is at 5, 1. So we're going to use those two pieces of information and write an equation in point slope form. Or we can write y minus 1 equals x minus 5. Either works. All right, number 2 is difficult, more difficult because we have to use step 1 that we wrote above. We need to change it to slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. I get negative 3y equals negative 4x minus 12, and divide both sides by negative 3. Whatever I do to one thing, I do to everything else. So my equation in slope-intercept form is 4/3 x plus 4. Here's my slope. Parallel lines have the same slope, so my slope is 4/3. And the point they give us that they want us to use is negative 3,3. Again, put it in point-slope form. Y minus 3 equals 4/3 times x minus negative 3, which is plus 3. Right, there is a U-try on the next page for you to do. The last slide in notes is if you guessed the same thing but with perpendicular lines. So the first step is the same. Get into slope-intercept form. Then use opposite reciprocal to find the slope. And then, last but not least, point-slope form. Using new slope plus the point given. Alright, so let's try number 1. We are given the line, and it's already in slope-intercept form, so we can skip it, is negative 1/2. So we need to flip it. So negative 1/2, flip it, goes to negative 2/1, and multiplying it by negative 1 gives us positive 2 for our slope. Then the point given is negative 8/7. So then we just write an equation in point-slope form. Y minus 7 equals our new slope, 2, times x minus negative 8, which is x plus 8. If we look at the line over here, it's the exact same line as the parallel line, so I don't need to waste time converting it because we've already done that. 4/3 x plus 4. So then to find the opposite reciprocal, we flip it and then make it negative. So this is my new slope. And then I'm still using that given point negative 3,3. Write it in point-slope form. Y minus 3 equals negative 3/4 x minus negative 3, which is x plus 3. I'd like you to do the U-try on the next page, and that is it for your homework tonight.